Hi everybody, it's Chris and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to attempt to rank my favourite 20 pub rock songs, a genre of music, mid-70s, UK based, predominantly London, lots of hard-working bands, touring small pubs and clubs, playing kind of authentic rhythm and blues and rock and roll covers and their own original materials, but a particular style that I'm quite fond of. So here's my 20 favourites. We're starting with the 101ers and Keys to Your Hearts. It's Joe Strummer's band before he moved on to The Clash. This was released in 76, and I think by the time this came out on Chiswick Records in 76, Joe Strummer had already moved on to The Clash. The 101ers are called that because they lived in a squat that was house number 101, I think. At number 19, Old Rock and Roller by Mickey Jupp, produced by Nick Lowe on Stiff Records. He was the guy who wrote Down to the Doctors, or Down at the Doctors for Dr. Feelgood. So that's at number 19, Mickey Jupp, Old Rock and Roller. At number 18, we've got Surrender to the Rhythm by Brinsbury Schwartz. This is Nick Lowe's band, a track from 1972, so the oldest of all the songs that I'm showing today, but great song, Surrender to the Rhythm. Great version of that on the Old Grey Whistle Test, actually. This is the studio version, but really good. At number 17, we've got Larry Wallace and Police Car. He was in the Pink Fairies, also a founder member of Motorhead. But this is his debut single, Police Car, on Stiff Records, produced by Nick Lowe, and has some Eddie and the Hot Rods as his backing band. At number 16, Suffice to Say by The Yachts, more of a power pop band actually than a pub rock band. This is a really nice, simple, organ-driven song. It's really, really good actually. If you've not heard it, it's great. It's 1977, The Yachts, Suffice to Say. At number 15, the rhythm guitarist from Brinsbury Schwartz, Ian Gom, and a track called Hold On. This was, I think, more successful in the US than it was in the UK, but a great little single. He co-wrote Cruel to Be Kind with Nick Lowe. Good stuff. At number 14, Lou Lewis and his band, and a track called Boogie on the Street. It's on Stiff Records. It's got Dr. Feelgood as the backing band. Really good track, actually. That's from 76, I think. The second single on Stiff was by the Pink Fairies. Not really a pub rock band. They're more of a kind of a psychedelic underground sort of band, but this is really pub rocky. This features Larry Wallace, came out in 76. As I said, it's the second Stiff single. Really good track. If you've not heard it, it's great. The song that came, or the single that came out before that one, the first ever Stiff single, was a track by Nick Lowe, So It Goes. Now, I would have chosen Cruel to Be Kind, but I showed that on a previous video, so I'm going for something different. The first single on Stiff, great track from Nick Lowe, recorded allegedly on a budget of £45. The first ever single on Stiff, this is the first ever single, I think, on Chiswick Records. It's the Speedball EP by the Count Bishops. And the track I'm choosing from this 4-track EP is the Bobby Troup cover of Route 66. Really good track. That's from 75, I think. This band are next. This is 10th, and this is their best of Don't Mind Rocking Tonight. And the track I'm choosing is Don't Mind Rocking Tonight. It's a great song. Coast to Coast nearly edged it, but I'm going for Don't Mind Rocking Tonight by Ducks Deluxe at number 10. At number 8 from the album Skull Wars, this is the Pirates after they reformed. They were obviously Johnny Kidd in the Pirates, shaking all over, that kind of stuff. But when they reformed as the Pirates, they produced a number of really good albums. Out of Their Skulls from 77 is good. This is Skull Wars from 78. It's a part live, part studio. And the track I'm choosing is a studio cut actually called Johnny Be Good's Good, which came out in 76. So no Johnny Kidd on it, just the Pirates. They play some great kind of rhythm and blues, rock and roll classics, as well as their own material. Staples at the Hope and Anchor up in Islington. Next up, so this is number 8. This is I can't choose Do Anything You Want to Do by the Rods because I showed that in a previous video. So I'm going to show a single which is the title track from their debut album by Eddie and the Hot Rods, Teenage Depression from 76. Canby Island band, they opened for the Pistols. I often think they're a kind of a midway between pub rock and punk rock, but a great track, Teenage Depression, Eddie and the Hot Rods, and that was number, 8? At number 7, How Long by Ace, famous song, really well-known song. Paul Carrack sings it. He went on to Squeeze and Mike and the Mechanics, I think, as well as a solo artist, but that's at number 7. Great track by Ace. Next one is, I think this is their most famous single and their most successful single. It came out in '77 amongst all the kind of punk stuff, but did really well for itself. It's a great track, comes from the album Rolling On, and it's a Chuck Berry cover by Steve Gibbons' band, Tulane. Really good track. There's probably better Steve Gibbons band tracks than this, but it's kind of a nostalgic pick for me, and that's at number 6. So we're into the top 5. At number 5, we've got a Nick Lowe written song for a friend of his, Dave Edmunds, and it's I Knew the Bride. This was quite successful. It comes from the album Get It, which is a great album, and allegedly was written in just half an hour, but it's a brilliant song. On Swan Song, that's Led Zeppelin's label, isn't it? What number was that? Was that 5? At number 4, we've got South London band 9 Below Zero from the album Don't Point Your Finger, which is their second album, I think. Their first album was Live at the Marquee. Great band. This is a Glyn Johns produced album. It's really blues inspired, but the track I'm choosing is 3 Times Enough, which has kind of got a punky vocal to it and a kind of a rhythm and blues backing. It's great. 3 Times Enough, 9 Below Zero from 1981. Top 3 time. Gotta Have Something from Graham Parker. This is his debut, I think, isn't it? Howling Wind, but the track I'm choosing closes this album. It's called Don't Ask Me Questions. Remember hearing it on John Peel, absolutely loving it. Didn't buy it straight away actually, and about 2 years later he bought an album called Parkerilla, which is part live, part studio, and one of the studio tracks on it is Hey Lord, Don't Ask Me Questions, which came out as a single in '78 and was revamped. It's much more almost like reggae take on it in '76. This is the '78 Mutt Lange produced one, which has a kind of almost like a disco feel to it. It's a great song. I prefer the original version, but it's still brilliant. Hey Lord, Don't Ask Me Questions. That's at number 2. Number 3, what's in my top 2? Can only be 2 bands, I think, anyway. And it was a toss-up between which one comes second and which comes first. For me, number 2 is Dr. Feelgood from the live album Stupidity. Now, I could have chosen Going Back Home, Back in the Night, Roxette. I could have chosen Walking the Dog. There's some brilliant songs they did, but the track I'm choosing was recorded live in '75 in Sheffield, and it's She Does It Right. I just think it's brilliant. I would have loved to have seen this band live. Wilko Johnson, fantastic. Lee Brillo, brilliant singer, great band. She Does It Right is my number 2, which means at number 1, we've got a band that I did mention in my punk, and much to some people's horror, I didn't mention in my '77 punk top 20. So I can't really have at number 1 Dancing the Night Away by the Motors, which would be my number 1. And interestingly enough, it's John Peel's number 1 from the year 1977. I love this song, but the track I'm going for, because I can't choose that one, is my second favourite Motors song. I first became aware of this when I listened to a 10-inch mini album that belonged to a brother of a friend of mine, and the mini album was called Guillotine. It was a Virgin sampler, and the track that opens that particular album is You Beat the Hell Out of Me by the Motors. It's absolutely brilliant. It was a B-side, although I think in France, the only country in the world where it was flipped, but it's an absolutely wonderful song, my second favourite Motors song, and today it's my number 1 pub rock song. So there you go, there's my top 20. Tell me what you think in the comments below, and I'll be back sometime soon with another video. Thanks very much. Cheers.